Well, you know, I had, hopefully my husband got insomnia.
Good afternoon. A regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the McAllen Independent School District will be held Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, at 5:30 p.m. at the Dr. Ricardo Chapa Boardroom Administration Building of the McAllen Independent School District, 2000 North 23rd Street, McAllen, Texas 78501. Items listed on this agenda may be taken in any order other than as shown on the agenda. Unless removed from the consent agenda, items identified within the consent agenda will be acted on at one time. At this meeting, there may be discussion and action by the board on the items and subjects listed as followed. Item number 1, call the meeting to order. I have done so at 5:30 p.m. Item number 2, moment of silence. Thank you. Item number 3, pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Very, very fast. Okay. Item number 4, public comments. We do not have any public comments today, so we will move on to item number 5, consent agenda items.
Move to approve.
A second.
I have a motion by trustee Regalado and a second by trustee Peña for 5A to 5D. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right. And we move on. Item number 6, instructional services, instructional leadership, human resources, business and operations, and board of trustee items. Item 6A, instructional services, instructional leadership items. 6A1, discussion and possible action for the approval of the donations to Homer J. Morris Middle School. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, Board of Trustees, the Morris Middle School Parent and Teacher Organization would like to give a donation to Morris Middle School. Dr. De Hoyos, Associate Superintendent for Instructional Services, will share more information, and we are recommending action on this item. If there's any questions on this donation to Morris Middle School.
Any discussion?
Thank you to the PTO at Morris Middle School for all of your hard work to make this possible.
Does anybody do you want to say something, Annie? No?
Serge, Annie?
Come say
Ms. Bexel?
something.
I do want to, sorry.
Yeah, do it.
I mean, you can give up, pass up the opportunity.
No.
I do. I want to say we've worked really hard at Morris, not just to raise money, but to build community. And the money that we've raised is a total reflection of the community we've built. This is not money, we did not go out and raise this money to do these things. It is money that we raised selling merch and selling all kinds of junk food to kids and
After school hours.
after school hours, absolutely. It has been a true community effort. And we have this money sitting in an account. We're going to be celebrating Morris's 40th anniversary next year, and we're planning to go out and raise money next year. But we feel like we need to take this money and do something with it. And in looking at what we might do, these spaces, the gym, the library, the cafeteria, it's our living room. It's our community's living room. And so we're really excited. We don't have a lot of details for you today because it was like in the past week or two, we've been like, we gotta do this summer, right now. And so we're getting to work on it, but we hope to have the ability to work within those parameters. We'll work with Ruben. We'll, of course, work with Mrs. Bechtold. And we're really excited.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the hard work.
Thank you, Annie.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion for
I
approval.
have a motion by trustee Carrion,
Second.
second by trustee De La Garza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We're looking forward to seeing what that's going to be great for the kids. 6B, human resource items. 6B1, discussion of the Texas Association of School Board, TASB, localized policy manual update 124, first reading. Doctors?
Yes, presented from TASB, the Texas Association of School Boards, and reviewed by our staff. This update represents legal and local reference policies recently adopted by the state. Administration is presenting this item as a first reading with a final approval at the next board meeting, for which will be the second reading. Mr. Canales, Chief Human Resources Officer, will have share any information or any questions you may have.
So this legal update here consists of 52 legal updates that TASB's already put into our localized policy. And then we do have about, I think it is 8 total local policies that we need to do an update on. Those policies range anywhere from the fiscal management goals and objectives, revenue investments, intellectual property, employee standards of conduct, curriculum design and special programs for GT students, student welfare, and community relations. These are all recommendations by TASB that we update the local policy based on what legal update says. So they've already created a guideline for us, and we're just asking for the first reading through for the approval.
Well, I don't think there's an action until we bring in the second reading.
Sure, or second reading, correct.
This is only for the first reading. Okay.
Okay. All right. Board, any questions, discussion? All right. Thank you all. So we are at 6B2, discussion and possible action of revisions to board policy FNG, local, second reading. Dr. Gutierrez.
Administration is recommending a change to FNG local policy as per TASB's recommendation in regards to the extracurricular activity complaints and level 3 appeals. Dr. Canales, Chief Human Resources Officer, will have more information or answer any questions on this item. We are recommending action on this item since this is the second reading that we're bringing to the board. Any questions?
Less of a question, but just more of a comment. I think I might have been one of the people that wanted to pull this initially.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I just wanted to clarify that the reason that I did that initially was because I wanted to make sure that we were not infringing or cutting off our community from being able to come to the board on things that they needed to. But after having conferred with y'all, I just want to clarify this policy implementation essentially just cuts it off at what they're entitled to. In other words, if there is a grievance that does not, or that involves basically decisions at the high school level or at the school level, such as playing time and that kind of thing, those are the types of grievances that would end at level 2, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So if anything else happens, say discrimination, we always do a discrimination first. That's your FFH policy. So anything with discrimination, retaliation, or harassment, we always go through that policy first, and then we go through those things, and then the level 1, level 2, it'll stop at the level 2. Now, if it goes through discrimination, then of course we go ahead and go through that, and then that can get to the board at a level 1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
So there's action.
Any, do I have any motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, trustee, I have a motion by trustee Regalado, second by trustee Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes 7-0. 6B3, discussion and possible action of revisions to board policy BF local, second reading. Dr.
Administration is recommending a change to BF local policy as per TASB's recommendation in regards to adoption and amendments. Dr. Canales, Chief Human Resources Officer, will have more information or answer any questions. And since this is a second reading, we're also recommending action on this item. So are there any questions on this policy for the second reading?
Again, I'm sorry, but policy is my thing, I guess. But as it relates to the current policy, in my opinion, I think it's a lot more clear than what the proposed policy is. Insofar as the proposed one includes this idea of a special circumstance, and it's not defined. And so I think that may create a problem where who decides what the special circumstance is, what qualifies as a special circumstance, whereas the policy as we have it written, I think allows for us to just proceed with first and second reading, and I just think it's a lot more clear, so I'm in favor of leaving the policy as is, unless we define those things.
In other words, what struck out in red, to leave it like it is? Because I think that's what the current policy is.
Correct, to leave the red?
Just to leave it.
Well, I'm not looking at that copy, I'm sorry, let me go back. I was introduced to the board books. So as it currently reads, local policies may be adopted or amended by a majority of the board at any regular or special meeting, provided that board members have had advanced written notice of the proposed change and that it has been placed on the agenda for such meeting.
Yes. So
That's what I would say. That's the current policy.
Yes.
That's what I propose that we leave it at.
So, just a question for clarification, because the proposed change would change it to where you introduce it one meeting and the second meeting, so it's 2 readings. The first one is just, you can approve it on the first, so you're proposing to,
Well, I think if we could maybe come to a middle ground on it, I think a subsequent meeting, we generally do that already, even though it's not in policy, but the issue that I see is more so on the tail end of that proposed language where it says emergency adoption may occur in one meeting, because again, it doesn't specify what a special circumstance is or who decides what that is. And I think that's just kind of too vague.
But as the language currently stands, we can adopt a policy on the first reading without declaring it a special circumstance.
Correct. That's what, it seems to allow that, but in practice, I think we always do a two readings. So maybe.
But this would require us to at least declare a special circumstance, although the mechanism for doing that is not clear. I agree with you on that, but at least we would have to publicly state this is a special circumstance, we're going to adopt it on the first reading.
Right. And then I guess just between us, know what a special circumstance is, or who decides the special circumstance.
Like the example I had was, like say we did the update 124 right now that we just went over. Say we had to have that done before the next board meeting, y'all could say that's considered a special circumstance. We're gonna do one reading for update 124, and then I would think y'all would either agree or not agree to do that on a special circumstance, is kind of how I relate that to, but up to you all how you wanna.
So the administration will propose what the special circumstance is?
No,
No,
we don't propose that. That would be
the board.
the board to propose that.
Well, if we leave it like it is, as Trustee Regalado is saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, but we could take no action and it stays like it is, right?
Sure, with the special circumstances language, the way that I see that is it would come back to y'all, right? Ultimately, in order for it to be considered a special circumstance, 4 of you are gonna have to say it meets that criteria. So within that is built in some flexibility to determine for yourselves what is a special circumstance. I am very much a definitions and type of person. I like to have that. However, I can certainly see the practicality of having this to where there's the flexibility that if something comes up and it doesn't meet a specific criteria, you guys, as the 7 that are leading the district, get to say, at least 4 of y'all get to say this is the special circumstance. That said, leave it as is, take no action, you're good to go. You don't have to vote it down. You just have to take no action, it'll stay the same. I don't know if that clarified or made it worse.
I mean, I think the proposed policy revision provides more, I wouldn't say protection, but gives us, at least we have to publicly state why we're going to adopt something on first notice.
It just doesn't provide for what those circumstances are. So I guess I kind of foresee a situation where 4 people could just decide that something is a special circumstance that perhaps isn't necessarily like a deadline or something like that, that's out of our hands. But I think, I mean, a middle ground might be.
You want us to go back with TASB to kind of like blend in both the original and the revised one to?
Well, I think a policy that would implement 2 readings, because I think that we do it in practice, but it's not written. And then also that would define what a special circumstance would be.
Okay. Did you take note of that, Dr. Canales? That way we can just go back and then bring you a,
Yeah, what if we narrow it too much to what a special circumstance is, or not
Well,
enough?
a special circumstance implies that it's something that's out of the ordinary.
Right.
Or not,
Everything's changing
So,
so much so
to
fast.
say, define a special circumstance, it would be just that, something out of the ordinary, something that requires immediate attention, I guess, but to define it, I don't know how else you define it that doesn't make it very.
Yeah, and I
narrow.
understand that, because I mean, I can't really foresee what a special circumstance would be, other than like,
An emergency situation of
Right.
some sort. yeah.
exactly.
I mean, something to the effect of action is required to be taken before a second reading could be scheduled, something to that effect.
Well, that could happen on any situation, though.
That's why it's
Yeah.
hard to.
Right,
kinda-
because you don't want to delineate, like
Right.
John said, list some items because there's something unforeseen that may come.
Maybe a special circumstance is something that would result in a detrimental effect on the district.
An
Like whether it be
extent-
financial or,
an extenuating circumstance or
Yeah.
an emergency that needs our attention within 24 hours or something like that?
Well,
But
to
that's-
trustee
I'd be
Haddad's
worried about
point,
timeline.
if the trustees are able to state it at the next meeting, the circumstance, I mean, we have to justify that, where future boards would have to justify it. But yeah,
Like
I
to
see both
say-
your points, right?
yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out a way to make it work.
I wonder, as I'm looking at the draft language, the portion of the language that is struck includes the statement adopted or amended by a majority of the board. That has been taken out of that portion. And Mr. Ball, when you were talking about the special circumstances, you had mentioned that that would potentially be defined by the majority of the board, but that language is no longer in this section as proposed. And is that potentially the path forward, where we define a special circumstance simply as something that has 4 members of the board or a majority of the board, indicating that it is indeed a special circumstance based in there?
But how would we know that
And-
unless
Yeah,
we're
I
meeting,
think-
unless we're
Yeah.
meeting, I mean, publicly?
It's, we
Well, and
can't
I kind of think
do
that
that.
TASB has, in the whole policy review we've been doing for the last year, TASB seems to be just kind of cutting the fat on things. And so I think it's a redundancy because we can't pass anything without a majority.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, I just,
But to even bring it to a meeting,
right.
like to say,
That-
well,
that
there's 4 of us
implies
that say we
quorum.
want it on, to revise it.
Yeah, that
That's-
implies quorum was
And that can't happen.
had, or
That's
some
kinda-
discussion was had prior to.
I didn't read it that way, but I could see that.
What if you were to add the language that trustee Haddad was saying, the trustees shall state on the record at that meeting the reason for the special circumstance? I know that still leaves it vague, but.
Yeah, I mean, without the majority, I mean, basically it means one person who feels it's a special circumstance can put it on the agenda for review. That's the way I would have read that with, if we're marking out the majority. But
I don't think
at
it's
the end of the day,
talking-
it might fail, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think it's talking about bringing it to the board. I think it's just passing it. So,
If number 4
yeah.
is, so to speak, what is troubling, you can, in y'all's discretion, say it would require
Like a
a
su-
supermajority of 5
Mhm.
to render something a special exception. or
I
a
think that
special
makes
sense.
circumstance. That's
Yeah, I
just a
think that makes sense.
potential
I like that.
saving
I
language.
think that's a good,
What is it, John?
It's a good
To
compromise,
make
yeah.
it, to make it be a supermajority, if something is going to be a special circumstance where there is, it doesn't need to be the procedural safeguards
supermajority,
that
5 out
5
of 7.
members, 5 board
5 out of
members have
7.
to vote for that to be considered a spec. That's just, again, that's not a
And-
suggestion, I'm saying that is a possible remedy if the number 4 is.
by voting for the proposed policy on the first reading, is that automatically indicating it's a special circumstance? Or we would have to have 2 votes? A supermajority vote to declare a special circumstance, and then a majority vote to adopt the policy.
I'm gonna have to reread this.
I think the way it's written, just a supermajority, because the way that this policy is written, I don't think it's about whether you can bring it to the board and put it on an agenda.
No, I'm talking about adopting it. Would you
Right.
have to declare, I mean, would you need a supermajority of 5 to declare a special emergency and then 4 majority to adopt it? Or do you just have 1 vote
I
at
think
5?
just
If you're
supermajority.
gonna do it
That's what I'm
on
saying.
Yeah.
subsequent meetings, so if you have you usually have the 1 meeting, and then you go to the second meeting, right? And then you're only gonna need 4. If you're gonna do it the first reading, when it comes out, that's where you would need the 5.
Yeah.
That's if that is the route you wanted to go. Again, not a
So-
recommendation, I'm saying that's.
So you want us to go, we can take it back to TASB just to rewrite it or edit it and include the supermajority as a special circumstance?
Yeah,
And
I'll
then bring
make
it
that,
back?
if we have an understanding, because I'm not sure that if somebody got that down, then yes, I would make a motion that we take it back for a second reading, or I guess third now, with the amendment that it would require a supermajority to pass under a special circumstance with 1 reading.
We'll do that, okay?
We have a motion? Do we need a?
We have a motion by
I'll second.
trustee Regalado, second by trustee Haddad. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0 with the language that trustee Regalado said that I was trying to catch up with.
They wrote it down.
They did?
got it,
Okay,
yes.
all right,
They got it, they got it,
okay.
So I'll send it off to Kathy, and I'll bring it back to the next board.
yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. 6C, business and operation items. 6C1, report regarding schoolyard forest grant. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, McAllen's Quinta Mazatlan has received a grant from the Texas A&M Forest. The grant will be used to create nature-based learning spaces and improve the environment on 7 elementary school campuses within our district. The grant will fund tree planting, outdoor learning spaces, and educational components. Ms. Colin Hook, Executive Director from Quinta Mazatlan, will give us more information about this grant. And this is for information purposes only. Ms. Cook? Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much. Do I have a remote or? Yeah.
I think they're looking.
They're pulling it out of
Oh, okay.
or attempting to.
Thank you, President, trustees, superintendent, for this opportunity to give you an update on the Texas A&M Forest Service grant. What a gift. When we opened in 2006, we coined the phrase, a mansion with a mission, working to connect children to nature to grow healthier, happier, and smarter students. And so through the years, our partnership with MISD has grown tremendously, and we're so excited about that. We started with a 3rd grade contract with MISD in 2006, and now every 5th grader comes, every 7th grader comes, in high school science AP. And this curriculum is written in partnership with the curriculum department here at MISD to make sure it addresses all the standards required for the students. We've also grown tiny forests on your campus, one at Cathy Middle School planted in 2023, and one at Sam Houston Elementary planted in 2024. We've taken a grass area that was not used by kids or wildlife and turned it into a beautiful natural environment that benefits the children and the neighborhood. And now, thanks to Texas A&M Forest Service, we received in partnership with MISD a $2.7 million grant. Before we submitted, the grantor asked both partners, City McAllen and MISD, to sign an MOU stating they wanted this gift, they welcomed this gift, and we would maintain and operate this gift. We are presently in the design development stage and looking forward to presenting shortly the 7 designs with Hefner Design Team, a very professional landscape firm in the Rio Grande Valley who has a lot of experience in this area. There are 4 other districts who received this grant. So the Rio Grande Valley received $14 million. PSJA, Laredo, Donna, and Mercedes. So we're significantly improving the Rio Grande Valley, which is the ultimate goal for all of us. So we get a lot of calls from the schools saying, well, how can I get an outdoor learning campus? And actually, we did not pick the top 7. The grantor picked the top 7 based on a CGES tool. It was based on climate and economic justice screening tool. The average tree canopy on our school campuses is about 11%. And the Texas A&M Forest Service grant, one of their goals is to raise it to a 30% tree canopy. So outdoor learning campuses are more than just a tiny forest. They provide a whole lot of benefits. And for every dollar that we invest in greening and operating and maintaining these campuses, we receive at least triple in benefits. And other districts around the country have experienced increase in enrollment, academics, attendance, improvement in social emotional development. They see a 50% decrease in bullying on the campus. And then, of course, increased physical activity and creative opportunities for teachers to teach outdoors. So our partnership with the principals began in January. I put 100% on board. I'd actually like to say 200% on board. It was such a pleasure to go to all 7 of these campuses. We spent half a day with Andrew Hefner and team, and basically we left with a schematic design. It was basically a mini charrette of what the principal and the school leadership wanted and the locations that they wanted, these amenities. We were there to listen and to help direct the charrette, but the direction came from the principals and the campus. Followed by the 7 mini charrettes, we had a luncheon and workshop at Quinta Mazatlan. Dr. Gutierrez welcomed everybody. I can't say enough about Lorena Garcia, who is chairing this for MISD. Robert Trevino, we had instructional leadership involvement, human relations, police, security, safety. They were all part of this being key stakeholders in the design of these plans. So each school is receiving 8 features, and you'll hear from Andrew shortly in terms of the layout of each of the 7, but they'll all receive a tiny forest, trails and educational interpretive signage with direction from the teachers, budding botanist, hands-on learning area, a tiny outdoor library, natural playscape, a cultural wiki-up, a learning hill. We're really excited about this opportunity. It's an outdoor amphitheater where a teacher could come out in the morning and have 25 students or 250 students and use the beauty of the great outdoors. And then there's significant funding for workshops and working with MISD and the curriculum writers in terms of developing curriculum to accompany these outdoor learning campuses. So one of the primary goals of the campus goal is to obviously get to 30% tree canopy. So these are some of the native trees. It will be 100% native. Some of our beauties, cedar elm, Texas ebony, retama, tenaza. So basically we're supporting our regional unique biodiversity, but we're also creating a living science lab on each of these 7 school campuses. And the same goes for the shrubs. Some of our beauties, skeleton leaf daisy, Turk's cap. Once you plant those, you have hummingbirds within an hour. So again, highlighting our regional biodiversity and creating living science labs. So in terms of making this a success, funding was awesome, planning was awesome, the design phase was great fun. Construction comes next, and we're looking at a completion of the 7 in 2026 and 2027. And so what we need to start thinking about is operating and maintaining these. Districts that have put these in on a district-wide basis have adjusted their scope of work for their staff and their vendors to make sure these amenities are addressed and cared for, and that needs to be done up front, because basically you're taking an area that possibly they mowed, blowed, and watered and edged, and now they're going to do X, Y, Z. So that needs to be identified in contracts. The principal decided what would go in the school park zone and what would go in the school zone being behind the fence. So any of the amenities that fall within the school park zone will be maintained by Parks and Rec. They have the list of those amenities, and they will update the MOU with MISD listing those specific amenities so that there's clarity on maintenance. And then anything that falls in the school zone would be maintained by MISD as we presently partner together on this landscape. So the benefits, again, are huge. Increased attendance, increased enrollment, increased academic skills, in addition to the environment, stormwater management, cooling the campus, and just beautifying the campus and the neighborhood. Tremendous benefits. So we're talking about all these benefits. So what about the remaining 11 elementary schools, and how do we provide equity for those? I'm happy to report that we received a grant from Children in Nature Network for $50,000 to do conceptual plans and budgets on the remaining 11 campuses. This grant also includes creating a guideline booklet for MISD on what they want in these campuses, how they operate, how you maintain them, and the curriculum that goes with those. So, and the timing, I hear, is amazing because MISD is presently updating their master plan. So this would be an amazing addendum or addition to your master plan, you know, for short-term or long-term goals, because you'll have conceptual drawings and rough budgets for the remaining 11 elementary campuses, getting us to 18 elementary campuses. Just such a win-win. And now I'd like to introduce our professional landscape architectural firm, Hefner Design Team, the president, Andrew Hefner, here.
Thank you, trustees, for allowing us to do this presentation today. We're really excited about the project. Like Colleen mentioned, we have a lot of data that we went through to get to this point, so we're hoping that enthusiasm comes through during the presentation. Like Colleen mentioned, we have a specific number of elements that we want at each individual site. That's mandated by the grantor, but also in our conversations with the individual principals and teachers. Now, we want all of these components at each school, but each one will be customized in their layout based on the use of that facility and the best use of the available area, working with the user group, the principal and the students. So here we have our WikiUp, Learning Hill, Trail Arbor, etc. All of these elements will be implemented in some form or fashion into the individual school designs. Starting off, here we have Alvarez. The green line that we've added to the plan is the indicator of the school zone that Colleen mentioned and the parks zone. So the north of this green line, or above the green line, is the city school park, and then inside the green line is where we have our school zone. One of the highlights of the project is what I'll show on the next slide here. We're actually removing 6,000 square feet of asphalt paving. One of the big pushes nationwide is to remove asphalt and replace it with green space. And we're doing that at this campus and 2 other campuses where that's needed. You'll see the layout of the different elements here, all integrated into the best use based on our walkthrough with the principal and staff. Next, we have fields. This green line, to the right of the green line is the school zone, to the left is the park zone. Our highlight here is really the expansion of the existing trail system to include our tiny forest, also indicated here as a pocket forest, and then building on the existing playground to offer our nature playground elements just north of that at this campus specifically. Next, we have Houston. Houston already has a great tiny forest, but we needed a little bit more interaction with that tiny forest. So we've designed a decomposed granite trail that leads the students now through that to get as many touch points as possible. And since they have a tiny forest already, we're able to expand the footprint of their nature playground, or their proposed nature playground, to use those funds in creating a much larger nature playground than some of the other schools, because they have the tiny forest. And providing a lot of shade is the key at each one of these. Jackson Elementary, everything actually The green line indicates that school zone and to the right, I'm sorry, school zone to the left, park zone to the right. So all of these elements are inside the school zone. Our major highlights here are on the north courtyard, really expanding some existing seating that they currently have into a multi-layered education environment with the learning hill, with the budding botanist, et cetera. And then on the south side, we are expanding the existing basketball pavilion, not the footprint, but the area underneath all the shaded trees for our nature playground and additional shade trees, et cetera. I know they recently just added a few picnic tables that they didn't have in that area, and it's been a huge success. So imagine what the kids will think once we have all of these improvements. Roosevelt's also a big, has a huge impact in that we're also removing about 7,000 square feet of asphalt in the center of kind of the play zone between the shaded area that's inside the school and then the traditional playground to the right. So in this case, obviously the school zone is to the left and the park zone is to the right. Another great element is improving this east courtyard to include the budding botanist, reading nook, et cetera, that will really give additional learning space and recreational space within the confines of a courtyard. So we thought that that was a good solution there. We have Seguin Elementary. This is also a little bit more challenging because we have a huge asphalt area just to the east of the school that's underutilized. It has staff parking sometimes. I have an enlargement here. That we're actually removing about 8,000 square feet of asphalt. We're still keeping enough asphalt to keep the circulation patterns moving through there, but that's one of our highlights in that area is to really take the asphalt out and create great green spaces for the kids. And then finally, we have Wilson. Wilson is one of our more urban campuses. It really is highly programmed along the entire south side. So what we're doing is focusing on the north side. It's a little bit more passive space right now, and there's 2 portables north of the gym. Those are planning to be removed, and as part of that removal, then we have a lot more elbow room under existing shaded trees to do our learning hill, install the reading nook, et cetera. While also screening the perimeter for the improvements that it looks like the church is going to do next door. That is the conclusion of the design section. We open up to any questions.
I don't have a question per se. I just want to say this. I am so excited about this project, and I want to thank Gita Mazatlan, Mr. Hefner, Ms. Garcia, and everybody at MISD that made this possible before I got here. I want to see how we can do this at all elementary schools and then junior high and high schools as well. It's an amazing project.
Thank you.
I second that. I just think that I don't know any other districts who have partnered with the city in beautifying their campuses, and I think we're just so lucky. I don't think you guys got anything in return on all this work, right, for the grants and things like that. It's all going to our schools. I'm a huge advocate in outdoor learning. I'm a former 2nd and 1st grade teacher, and I took my kids out constantly, and you couldn't compare classroom versus outdoor learning. So huge, remarkable benefits. I second what Trustee Haddad says, that I would love to see this at all of our campuses. I mean, in our master plan, we're talking about beautifying some of our outdoor spaces, and what a great way to kind of merge the 2 project ideas that we have here. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Garcia, and staff here as well for partnering together on this.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's great. I was looking at the pictures, and I know a lot of us were there when Sam Houston, just
Super fun.
it's the growth that it's done in a year is insane.
And shout out to Principal Lowe and her community and the students, because if you guys haven't been, you have to go. It is truly amazing, and seeing the students who might not get a lot of time in spaces like that is really, really awesome. So yeah, I agree, President.
I do have a question though on the asphalt removal, and Ruben, maybe you want to chime in. I'm not sure, but my question is, and that's expensive to remove concrete, asphalt, or how is that Is that budgeted in, the removal? Are we gonna do it, Ruben?
It's budgeted as part of the project.
Okay, great.
I would like to just make another comment to the board, and maybe we can talk about this at a workshop or something, but I'd like to ensure that the project is going to be so well done with the landscape architects and everyone working behind it. I want to make sure that our district can protect the plan and the investment and all of those amazing things, and making sure that we can continue the upkeep in a way that honors, the gift that we've been given. So making sure that we really understand the long term. Yeah.
That's a really good point.
That's it.
I mean, we're being given this amazing asset for our children, so gotta make sure
I think
we
the
have it
schools
10 years from
maintain
now.
their own too, like they go in, they use them, they,
I
you
think,
know.
That was-
Roosevelt just had, for Arbor Day or whatever it was, they had a day where they asked everybody to come in, bring some shovels, bring some, plants, wind chimes, whatever you've got. And so they do a great job of maintaining the spaces themselves. Well, it's part of the plan, right? That they kind of do part of the upkeep themselves. I'm talking about the schools.
yes.
Yeah, I think that scope of work needs to be looked at closely, and what they can handle on campus and what the maintenance grounds crews need to address. In terms of the asphalt, is probably $150,000 or $200,000. So if there were in-house opportunities, then that monies could be put back into the campuses to even do more amenities. We do have it budgeted right now, but it can be used for other amenities if that were done another way. Just food for thought.
Right.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, that was for information purposes.
Correct.
Moving on, 6C2, report regarding the extension of agreement number 2024-254, City of McAllen Community Development Block Grant Funding for Track Lighting Project at Dorothea Brown Middle School. Dr. Gutierrez.
Administration requested an extension to the agreement with the City of McAllen for the track lighting project at Dorothea Brown Middle School. Mr. Ruben Trevino, Executive Director for Facilities, is available to answer any questions if needed, and this is for information purposes only.
Board, any
It's information.
Okay. All right, questions? No? All right, moving on. Thank you. 6C3, discussion and possible action of setting public meeting date for budget and vote on proposed tax rate. Dr. Gutierrez.
The Education Code, Section 44.004 requires a meeting notice for the budget and proposed tax rate for school district. Prior to the notice being published, the Board of Trustees must decide on the public meeting date and vote on a proposed tax rate that will be published in the notice of a public meeting to discuss budget and proposed tax rate. Administration is requesting action on this item, and this is aligned with June 24th budget meeting that we're going to have for final approval. But prior to that date, we have to advertise 10 days before to give a public notice, and this is what this is about.
So that date would be like tomorrow?
Yes.
It's already in the works. It's it's part of the plan.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be 10 days before and then the date of the meeting.
And the notice we're providing is just that we're going to have a meeting about the tax rate, or are we providing notice of what we think the tax rate's going to be?
We're going to be, the tax rate doesn't get approved officially until what, September?
September,
We take it in
October.
September?
It doesn't, but the notice does contain the proposed tax rate, and it contains some financial information that are estimates at this point. It's kind of a very wordy notice.
And does the notice contain state-required language that says it's a tax rate increase even if it's not?
Yes, that's
Thank you.
correct. And we did, our CFO, Mr. Garcia, did meet with Hidalgo County today to work on the notice because they do help us prepare, and there's a template that we utilize to analyze the data and create the template.
All right.
Okay.
Administration is requesting action on this item.
Second.
Motion by trustee Regalado, second by trustee Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 6C4, discussion and possible action of the disposal of out-of-adoption instructional materials. Dr. Gutierrez.
Out of adoption instructional materials are recommended to be removed from all classrooms. Administration is recommending approval to dispose out of adoption instructional materials through recycling. Ms. Angela Allen, Director of Student Operations, is available to answer any questions, and we are recommending action on this item.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Pena, second by trustee Regalado. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right. And 60, Board of Trustee items. 61, approval of Board of Education meeting minutes. School Safety and Security Committee meeting, May 7th, 2025. Special Board meeting, May 13th, 2025, 5 p.m. Special Board meeting, May 13th, 6 p.m. Board Workshop, May 19th, 5:30 p.m. Board Workshop, May 22nd, 5:30 p.m. Regular Board meeting, May 27th, 5:30 p.m. Special Board meeting, May 28th, 5:30 p.m.
Administration is recommending action on this item.
Move to approve.
I did notice something. On number 9, the nomination of officers, it says the motion was made by me, and it was made by trustee Delagarza Lopez, right? Is that right? So can we?
That was the special board meeting on the 13th, right?
At 5
At 5
Correct.
p.m.?
5
Yeah.
p.m.
And item number 5?
Yes.
Or,
It's number 9.
number 9.
Yes.
We can approve with that,
Okay.
with that change.
Yeah. I
With
think
that
that's
correction?
all that I noticed. Does anyone else?
Get that, Natalie?
I didn't even get
You
it.
got it?
Natalie?
Oh, yeah.
That was the May 13th at 5 p.m. And the correction is that, who made the motion?
It was me.
Yeah.
Well, it says that the motion to
Wow,
seize nomination. Okay.
The motion was made
Oh,
by,
and I think I made the motion to seize,
That is correct.
and then trustee De La Garza seconded.
Mhm.
okay,
Okay, so we'll update that.
with that correction, okay, Natalie?
Okay. Then, do we have,
To approve with those corrections?
all right.
Second.
Motion to move to approve with those corrections by trustee Regalado, second by trustee Pena. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. All right. Item number 7, recess to closed session. Board of Trustees may go into closed session pursuant to section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, and 551.089 Texas Government Code to discuss the following. 7A, Human Resource Recommendations, School Year 25-26. 7B, Discussion of Human Resource Employee Resignations and Retirees for School Year 2024-25. 7C, Discussion on Establishing Consensus for Communication Standards and Practices among trustees and between superintendent and school board. 7D, Discussion on Establishing Policy and/or operating procedures for district personnel management. And 7E, discussion regarding school safety and security. 7F, pending and potential litigation. 7G, possible real estate acquisition. At 6:18, we are in closed session. It is 8:43. We are back from closed session. Okay, so item 9A, discussion and possible action of human resources recommendations for school year 2025-26. Dr. Gutierrez.
Human Resources submitted a list of recommendations for the 25-26 school year under a separate cover for discussion during closed session. We are recommending action on this item.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by trustee De La Garza Lopez, second by trustee Peña. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 9B, discussion of human resources employee resignations and retirees for school year 24-25.
Human Resources submitted a list of recommendations for the 24-25 school year under a separate cover for discussion during closed session. We are recommending action on this item.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Peña, second by De La Garza Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, item 9C, discussion and possible action on establishing consensus for communication standards and practices amongst trustees and between the superintendent and the school board.
Can we go
Chair,
ahead?
I move to take no action.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion to take no action by trustee De La Garza, second by trustee Peña. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. 9D, discussion and possible action on establishing policy and/or operating procedures for district personnel management.
I move to take no action.
Second.
Got a motion by trustee De La Garza Lopez, a second by trustee Kittleman. Doctor, trustee Kittleman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Item 9E, discussion regarding school safety and security.
Nothing to report.
Nothing.
9F, pending and potential litigation.
Nothing to report.
9G, possible real estate acquisition.
Same announcement.
Thank you, sir. And item 10, adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Sophie Peña, trustee, motion. Second, trustee De La Garza Lopez, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We are adjourned at 8:45. Thank you, guys. Good
Thank you, everybody.